Hello, and welcome to Preparing for Success on the ACT Science Reasoning. I want to take just a couple of minutes with you and talk about some things you're likely to see on the ACT Science Reasoning test and make you aware of some things that a lot of people are not aware of, things that can help you to be successful. Let's begin by talking about what the Science Reasoning test is and what it is not. It is not a measurement of how many science classes you've taken or how much science you actually know or even how interested you are in science. All that the ACT Science Reasoning test measures is how well you can find information presented the way that scientists usually do that: graphs, charts, data tables, and sometimes text. And then, if you can find that information, can you do something useful with it? That's what the ACT Science Reasoning test is about. Part of what that means is that the information you bring into the testing room with you is not necessarily the right answer. If you know something or think you know something and it's not in the passage, then that's not the right answer as far as ACT is concerned. In that respect, this test is an open book test because all of the correct answers are found in the passages. Okay? They don't come from something you've read. They don't come from something your teacher has told you. They don't come from something you've deduced on your own beforehand. The correct answers come from the passages, and that is it. That's all. Okay? So, a few suggestions for conquering this test. Do not reread the difficult passages, or as Mrs. Bliss is fond of saying, don't back up over the pothole. One of the things the ACT folks love to do in this test is throw a lot of technical terms at you, a lot of scientific jargon that you'll look at and you'll just say, what in the world does that even mean? You know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry if you come across an unfamiliar word or phrase, because either the text will explain it, like right when it's presented, or you won't need to know what that is in order to answer the questions. Okay? So don't stress out about it. If you find a passage that doesn't make sense, if you're reading something and you can't wrap your head around it, pull out your letter of the day, answer it, and move on to something else. Okay? And just kind of as an aside, it's been my experience as a scientist and as a science teacher that if you come across an unfamiliar word in a passage, you can safely skip it. If the passage doesn't make sense without the word, it probably will not make sense with the word either. Okay. Read as little of the text as you can get away with. The main thing you want to use text for in this test is to explain what the graphs and charts say. Okay, so explaining, what the variables are, or that kind of thing. Other than that, most of the information you need and most of the answers that you're going to find are in the graphs and charts. And frequently, the questions will even tell you which graphs or chart to look at. Okay, so look at the graphs and charts first, then read text as necessary. Now, if you're reading a question and there are, of course, 4 answers, if you see an answer that directly contradicts what the graph or chart says, that is the wrong answer. Okay? For example, if an answer to a question says, because temperatures increase over time, but the graph shows temperatures decreasing with time, then that answer is not correct. You can safely eliminate it. Now, if a question has 2 answers that are exact opposites, one of them is often the right answer. And it's worth a little bit of time to look at those things carefully and see which one makes more sense. Again, refer to the graphs and the charts because that's where most of the information is going to be. But read the answers carefully. Frequently, they may look like they say the same thing, but if you read it carefully, you'll see there's a subtle change in wording or something that will actually make them mean opposite things. Another thing that you'll see, another tactic that the ACT folks love to use, is they will give you answers in the form of this answer because this reason. The planet Venus because the atmosphere is so thin. Okay? For that to be the correct answer, the answer has to be correct, but the reason also has to be correct. So it has to be right, but it has to be right for the right reason. So look for those. You'll find those pretty frequently in the course of the test. In terms of other specific information, there's an awful lot I can give you. I will just say this from my own experience as a scientist and a science teacher. In a real scientific paper, 90% of the information you really need is found in one of two places. Either the introduction, which in scientific, in journals in general, they call the abstract, and then the graphs, charts, and the data tables. Okay. The ACT is organized in much the same fashion, so don't waste a lot of time in reading. Invest your time in answering the questions, because that's how you earn points. Ultimately, that's what the ACT science reasoning test is. It's basically a transaction where you have a certain number of points, a certain number of minutes to spend on accumulating a certain number of points, as many as you can. Okay? And you don't earn points for reading. You don't earn points for rereading, certainly. What you do earn points for is answering questions correctly. So focus your attention on that. Thank you, and good luck to you as the test approaches.